All throughout my life, movies have had such an impact on me and who I am today. And so after I saw Sean Chandler's video on picking out one movie from every year he's been alive, I thought it'd be really cool to do on my channel, especially since I have a lot shorter of a range to look at than people like Sean do. So I may be the youngest guy that's ever made a video like this, but without further ado, let's take a look at my favorite movie from every year that I've been alive. Kicking it back to 2002, we have ScoobyDoo. Now first off, this was written by one of my favorite directors slash writers in Hollywood, James Gunn. He's brought amazing works of art such as Guardians of the Galaxy to viewers, and he's so good at storytelling. When I realized he did ScoobyDoo, that made it even better. Obviously as a kid I didn't know that, but looking back I can totally see it. I used to watch all kinds of ScoobyDoo cartoons when I was little, and the live action ones really spoke to me. Now while this movie wasn't critically acclaimed, it's always going to have a special place in my heart, as well as the second one, which I think I like the second one better. But seeing the Mystery Mobile, seeing Mystery Incorporated, Shaggy and Scooby running around, Fred telling everybody to split for clues, seeing that all come to life after watching the cartoons for so long is really something special. And let me just say, for the record, Matthew Lillard is the perfect Scooby-Doo for live action. Mic drop. Now for 2003, I'm going to have to go with one of the more lighthearted movies on this list, which is School of Rock. This is so rewatchable to me. Jack Black is a substitute teacher we all wish we had in grade school. Watching Ned Schneebly show up to this class and find purpose in really teaching these kids what he knows, literally turning a 4th grade class into a rock band, was just amazing to see. And it's really cool to see Jack Black's character help these kids in the midst of all this really find themselves and see the greater purpose within themselves. And the final concert Battle of the Band sequence will never get old to me. I learned that teacher's pet song on guitar at one point, but that was a long time ago. Either way, the supporting cast with people such as Sarah Silverman and Joan Cusack really helped stitch this together to be such a feel-good, lighthearted movie. You gotta remember, this won over Kill Bill for 2003 for me. So, School of Rock 2003. And moving on to 2004, we have one of my favorite animated films of all time, Shrek 2. Now this is definitely my favorite Shrek movie. It did everything the first one did so well and amplified it. Seeing Shrek, Donkey, Fiona and the gang take on Far Far Away was so cool. I loved the entire aesthetic of Far Far Away. How they made it into like a Hollywood. Fairy Godmother is such a good villain, and Prince Charming, we all love to hate him. This movie never misses a beat. Every single second of this is entertaining. It has endless pop culture references, and it once again really hits home the theme that being yourself is always enough and that you shouldn't waste time trying to be somebody that you're not. Also, Fairy Godmother's cover of Holding Out for a Hero, better than the original. What? It's amazing. I'll never get over that sequence. This beat out Napoleon Dynamite for me, which is extremely hard. Shrek 2 for 2004. And for 2005, very controversial choice, but we have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's right, the Johnny Depp, Tim Burton, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this movie. It is literally all I watched when I was little. I have a poster of it, and on the flip side we have Revenge of the Sith. 3-year-old me just kept watching it. I had action figures of them. I have a bobblehead of Johnny Depp, Willy Wonka somewhere. But the biggest thing looking back and watching it now, older, my biggest defense for this movie is that it's not a reboot, but more of a reimagining. Tim Burton pours his creativity into this, and I loved Danny Elfman's musical contribution. Augustus Gloop's song, best song in the movie, but he creates a unique song for every single kid, and I love that. The colorful world he creates, such as the room with the chocolate river, the varying designs for each kid. I loved it. I love to see it. Freddie Highmore does amazing as Charlie Bucket, and I'll admit, I love Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka I know, unpopular opinion, but I gotta say, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, 2005 pick. And going to 2006, we have a movie that I've actually just recently seen during quarantine, which is Little Miss Sunshine. Abigail Breslin does such a great job in this. We get introduced in the beginning to this dysfunctional family. We have Steve Carell as the suicidal uncle, Alan Arkin as the grandfather with the mouth of a sailor, and the extremely quiet brother. Now what brings all these people together? A Little Miss Sunshine beauty pageant. Seeing this family really bond and come together, you see the highest and the lowest of this family. Just every time they would have to run to get the car going, so funny. It's really such a heartwarming movie, seeing the true colors of this family, just really showing the reality of a family. Once again, for me, another feel-good movie on this list. That just had to be my 2006 pick. If you haven't seen it, I totally recommend Little Miss Sunshine. And moving on to 2007, we have, God, I love this movie so much, Hairspray. Nikki Blonsky does amazing as Tracy Turnblad. The way the musical drew off of John Waters' original Hairspray in 1988 was amazing, but the way this movie reincarnated both of those was just genius. We have a super star-studded cast in this movie, and gotta say, John Travolta's Mrs. Turnblad, it just sells it. He does amazing. I will never get over how catchy all the music is in this movie. We got Zac Efron, Elijah Kelly, Amanda Bynes, Christopher Walken, Queen Latifah, and so many more. I'll never forget when my grandma took me to see this when I was probably 4 or 5. And whenever Zac Efron said, "Kiss my ass," my grandma just about jumped out of her seat. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know they were gonna say that." This movie will be timeless to me. Only real ones understand that. Hairspray 2007. And rolling into 2008, this is when the MCU debuted. So from this point on, that's fair game. Just think about that. But I had to give it to one of the funniest movies I think of all time. Step Brothers. Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, when they come together for a project, you know it's gonna be good. You've seen this in Talladega Nights, and they do not miss a beat in Step Brothers. They work so well off of each other, and just the whole idea of each of them being just a kid living in their parents' basement, being forced to like each other, and seeing all the hijinks that comes with that, it's just so funny. It's such a quotable movie, and so many scenes in that, just so iconic. You know, Adam Scott doing a cappella to Sweet Child of Mine with his family. You got The Affair in there, and you just have so many scenes, and don't even get me started on the Catalina wine mixer. This movie never fails to make me laugh, and that's why Step Brothers is my 2008 pick. Going into 2009, we have my first Tarantino movie on the list, Inglorious Bastards. Something Tarantino does so well is taking history and adding his own spin on it. Brad Pitt gives a strong performance in this, but I think the standout role was Christoph Waltz as Hans Landa. He's so menacing, yet so chilled out. That's what really makes my hairs prick up. The whole beginning exposition with his speech as he was drinking the milk, so suspenseful. And I love when Tarantino twists history at the end. That entire sequence, so priceless. You have scenes like the bar shootout. Tarantino did World War II so well. Inglorious Bastards, gotta be my 2009 pick. And 2010, this might be the most nostalgic movie for me on this list. We have Toy Story 3. Now, I had inherited a lot of my sister's Toy Story stuff, as both of them grew up in the 90s. And so I had a general love for those movies as I grew up watching those and playing with the toys. But when Toy Story 3 came out, man, that was a game changer. I became obsessed with Toy Story, and instantly I tried to get as many of the toys from that signature collection line as I could. What they were able to pull off in Toy Story 3 was something that I don't know if you could do again. Now, of course, Toy Story 4 has come out, but Toy Story 3 has to be my favorite of those 4. The first 2, we saw Andy really just going on adventures with these toys, and now he's all grown up. He's going off to college. What's he gonna do? The movie revolves around what Woody thinks is best, while the rest of the toys kind of have conflicting ideas. And this is such a tearjerker. I loved the whole Sunnyside storyline, Lotso and his gang, Michael Keaton as Ken, don't even get me started, that was amazing. And that tearjerker ending that really just capped it off. Such a well executed film, and such an amazing comeback for Toy Story, as this had been their first movie since the late 90s. And moving on to 2011, we have our first MCU film on this list, Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, Marvel Studios did such an amazing job telling a period piece, immersing you in World War II, 1940s America, telling a true underdog story about Steve Rogers, just a scrawny kid from Brooklyn who wanted to do some good. And this is the beginning to the storyline of one of these standout figures of film today. Chris Evans did an astounding job portraying this guy who he didn't like bullies. And seeing how Peggy Carter, Dr. Erskine, and many others reacted to that really made for an entertaining, adventurous, but heartwarming film. And 2012, coming right after that in the MCU timeline, my personal favorite MCU film, I believe, Marvel's The Avengers. This was such a big deal for me. I was in 3rd grade and I had really never seen any of these movies all the way through until I went to see The Avengers with my dad. And boy, did that change my life the moment I walked out of that theater. Even though I hadn't seen all of the movies prior, seeing those 6 heroes assemble for the first time on screen in that circle shot was so amazing, so captivating. Joss Whedon really pulled this off. And it could have gone so wrong, but the fact that it went so right and set the stone for the future of the MCU, it'll never fail to amaze me. The stakes are high in this movie. Loki's arc from Thor being continued, rolled into this movie, and all these characters' storylines merging into one. So good, I still get chills when I watch it. Marvel's The Avengers for 2012. And for 2013, we have The Wolf of Wall Street. Martin Scorsese told the story of a man who took Wall Street by the balls. He did such a good job selling to the audience, look at this man. He has everything. He's on top of the world. What could possibly go wrong? And that's the great thing. We see the rise of Jordan Belfort, but the downfall is just as big. Leonardo DiCaprio knocks it out of the park in this movie. Don't even get me started on Margot Robbie. Don't even get me started. But with a supporting cast like Jonah Hill and many others, this makes for such an entertaining, captivating roller coaster of a film. You see Jordan Belfort at his highest and at his lowest, and Martin Scorsese tells us a story of what money can do to you. And in 2014, back in the MCU ring, we have the Russo brothers' first MCU entry, the amazing political thriller, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Now, coming off of the Avengers, everybody was wondering, what's Captain America up to now? The Russos did an amazing job of modernizing Captain America, showing how he fits into the modern world, and the stakes have never been higher, showing the downfall of S.H.I.E.L.D., how Hydra has been building up inside of S.H.I.E.L.D., only to crumble S.H.I.E.L.D. from the inside. It's chilling. We are presented a heartbreaking story of Steve Rogers just trying to get his friend Bucky back. This was a major turning point in the MCU. Such a well-executed film. Winter Soldier 2014. And in 2015, we have Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I felt like I had to put one Mission Impossible movie on here. Looking at the other films that came in 2015, I decided to put this one for 2015 just because I'll never forget sitting in that IMAX theater, looking back at all of this unfolding in front of me, seeing how big the scale has become. Mission Impossible never sells you short of thrills, and in this movie we literally have Tom Cruise hanging off of a plane. How much better can it get than that? In addition to the amazingly executed fight scenes, we have great acting by Cruise as well as Simon Pegg, Alec Baldwin, Jeremy Renner, Ving Rhames, and many more. I like to think of this as the modern day Bond, even though obviously I know we still have Bond movies, but Rogue Nation speaks for itself. It really picked up the franchise and allows it to keep going today. Never a dull moment in Rogue Nation. And in 2016, we got another controversial pick, guys. While I agree that Civil War was a better film, I think about what was my favorite movie from that year. What was my best experience from 2016 that I can link to a movie? And that is Suicide Squad. I know what you're thinking, but some elements of that film I really enjoyed. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn absolutely kills it, and Will Smith as Deadshot. Both two people with troubled lives that we really actually get to see the human side of. I freaking loved the soundtrack in this movie. You got AC/DC, you also got 21 Pilots, Heathens. I actually just rewatched it a few hours ago for this video, and I had to pick it. This was 8th grade. I loved going out to the movies with my friends, and I saw this 3 times while it was in theaters. While there are a lot of problems with the plot points and Jared Leto's Joker, I do have issues with that. I thought this movie was such a thrill, such an amazing ride. I loved the vibe of it, bringing a bunch of bad guys together to do some good. And for 2017, we have probably the first R-rated movie I ever went to in theaters, It. Now I remember watching the trailer with my cousin Zachary, who posted a reaction on it, and I thought to myself, I probably won't see this in theaters. I even said that in the video. But then when I actually went out and saw it, I was like, whoa, what? My mom actually let me go out and see this? This is crazy. When I went in there, I didn't know what to expect, but I loved it. Bill Skarsgård gives such a chilling performance of Pennywise. This movie really leaves you on the edge of your seat. The kids in this film are so talented. They all just have such great chemistry with each other. Sophia Lillis, Finn Wolfhard, just to name a few. It told the story of a family brought together by these horrific events. So chilling. I love this movie. And the 80s setting, respect anything 80s, I love it. It fit in very well. And 2018, I had to think pretty hard on this one. I was thinking Avengers Infinity War, but I was like, I have a lot of Marvel movies on this list, so I think I'm gonna have to go with Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, while this did have a lot of issues with critics, which I do understand, the editing in parts is choppy, but that is really one of the only problems I have. I know it has some historical inaccuracies, but all in all, you have to remember, this was produced by Roger Taylor and Brian May, 2 strong members of Queen that are still very active in the community today. So they decided to tell this the way it was presented. The story of Farouk Balsara, who became Freddie Mercury, an icon. Seeing the forming of this band that just rocked the world. Such an adventure. And obviously, if it's a Queen movie, the soundtrack's gonna be amazing. So the way that they weaved the creating of many of these songs together, you would see tour montages, and the way that they showed how they created the Bohemian Rhapsody song was really cool. Rami Malek killed it. He totally deserved the Best Actor award. And Gwilym Lee was amazing as Brian May as well. All 4 actors looked a lot like their respective roles. We even had Mike Myers in there. And the whole Live Aid sequence I absolutely loved. And they did release an actual full version of that wasn't cut for the movie. So I love looking at that side by side with the actual Live Aid performance. It always gives me chills. Bohemian Rhapsody 2018. And the last one I will do, 2019. I'm not going to do 2020 because obviously it's not over yet. I don't know what's going to end up being my favorite movie from this year, but 2019, I gotta go with, once again, a Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I first saw this in Gulf Shores. God, I was so astounded. The first viewing, I gotta say, it did drag for me a little in the middle, but once that ending came, me and my friends were blown away. We're like, what just happened? But whenever I bought the movie on Blu-ray, I just kept watching it constantly. I had realized I love every part of this movie. I had come to appreciate what Tarantino did, his love letter to the golden age of movies, the golden age of Hollywood, 1969. He did such a great job of capturing that with, once again, his amazing music choices. How many times have I said this on this list? Leonardo DiCaprio blows it out of the water as Rick Dalton, this failing actor who's kind of having a fall from grace and fears that his career may be in jeopardy. And we have Brad Pitt as the rough and tumble best buddy, stuntman Cliff Booth. Once again, Margot Robbie blows it out of the water as Sharon Tate. And the whole Manson storyline is weaved in there so beautifully, so chilling. I will never get tired of this amazing period piece, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, for 2019. Well, if you made it to the end of this video, congrats. It's over. Let me know what your guys' picks for every movie from every year you've been born are down in the comments below. It's been real. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.